Welcome to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danica Long. We are not in the studio today. In fact, we are on location for the latest Chamber luncheon, which was held at the Petroleum Club in Morgan City. The guest for that luncheon was Dawn Starns. She is the Louisiana Director for the National Federation of Independent Businesses, or NFIB for short. They consider themselves to be the voice of the small business owner. If you'd like more information on that organization, you can check them out at their website, nfib.com, or check them out on Facebook, National Federation for Independent Businesses. Again, Dawn is the director of the Louisiana chapter. As always, we ask you guys to check us out also on Facebook. We are KWBJ TV 22, or also on YouTube, KWBJ Live. Again, today's guest, Dawn Starns, the Louisiana Director for the National Federation for Independent Businesses. Here's more from the Chamber Luncheon.
NFIB has been around for 75 plus years, and the best thing I love about it is that it is a member-driven organization. We go out to our members and say, what is your position on this issue? Tell us what's happening on the ground. And really, COVID really opened up the conversation with our members even more, because we were able to really start this survey process where we were asking our members on a regular basis, what's happening on the ground, because we know we can't obviously as an organization know, and even chambers, it's hard to know exactly what's happening. You have a good sense when you're in the local community, but on the state level and on the national level, it's hard. And so we started a COVID survey, and really we've done like 22 of them now, and it's just been really good data to really get in touch our members and say what's happening. And really what I love about it is that it's consistent. It doesn't matter where you are, what area of the country, to the point we are a nonpartisan organization, because small business owners see the world a certain way, right? And so it just happens to be that how people feel in Louisiana are generally how people feel in Idaho. And even though the cultures are different, the consistency is very similar. And so I love that we have members that have been around for 40 plus years. One of our members here in the area is Power Panels Incorporated, been a member for 41 years. I think they've been open for 42. So we strive to be there for our members and to be a voice, because the thing that gets lost at the Capitol, although you have great local legislators, local representation here, and you have great legislators. I can't say enough about Brett Alain, Vinnie St. Blanc, and Beryl Amity. You're going to get an earful from them, I guess, next month whenever you hear from them. But the leadership that Senator Alain has shown and his commitment to small business is just beyond comparison at this point. He is we've recognized him as a guardian of small business. He and I like to trade jabs from time to time when he doesn't do exactly what I want him to do. But no, he's wonderful, and we're lucky, and you all are lucky to have him there, and the state's lucky to have him. The changes that have been made at the tax level, tax policy level, have been so driven by him and his vision to improve our state, and so having that is important. One of his big things that he's focused on and has been a part of is pushing for the centralized sales tax collection. I know many of you have probably heard about that at the local level. You may or may not support it, so I don't want to get into get crossways with your local folks here. But we support it because it's important to move our state into the 21st century. And what we try to do as an organization is look at what's happening in the world around us, in the other states, what's trending policy-wise, and say what is happening in Louisiana and where can we be impactful? What can we try to push or do that'll improve things for small business? It doesn't need to be said again, but although I guess it probably does until it's over, but the inflation, supply chain, gas prices, all of those things are really impeding the ability to recover. A big business like y'all's is in a different position than your everyday small dry cleaner, which if you had a delivery service, you'd be paying significantly more, right, for your delivery service right now. And it might be the difference between you staying open and closing. So we have the whole gamut as far as our membership. We represent everybody from the small little guy to the big small guy. And whenever it comes to things like that, that's why we look at policies that really ultimately, although if you're not a retailer and you don't collect sales tax, you may not care about centralized sales tax collection, you should, because it really does affect the overall state fisc. It affects our ability to collect all the sales taxes that are due and collect all the money that's due locally as well as at the state level. And then, of course, local collections and state collections result in, you know, the services that need to be provided, from roads to education. So it's an important issue, and that's one of the ones that we have really hung our hat on for the past several years, and we hope to, it'll certainly pass the legislature, we believe, get out of the Senate and go back to the voters this fall. And so if you have questions about it or want more information or want to hear all the sides to it, please reach out and let us know. It's an important issue. It barely failed the ballot last year, and so we hope that it'll pass this year. That's been one of our big issues at the state level. One of the other things that every employer in here should be thankful for is the ability for the legislature to have the independence they have from the governor. That's been important throughout this process, but luckily we did have the governor's support on a big issue, which was putting $500 million into the unemployment trust fund. You know, whenever COVID happened, the government said everybody's got to stop. Everybody went on unemployment, and it dropped our unemployment trust fund from billions of dollars to negative. And that was detrimental both to the state, to employers, to employees who would need it ultimately. And so when we see all this federal money start to come down from the federal government, it makes sense to say, look, let's pull that, put it to something that benefits everybody, and put those dollars back there. And so we were able to secure about $300 million last year, I think was the final number. Might have been $400 million, but they played with the money at the end, but we got a big chunk put into the trust fund at that point with the commitment to put the $500 million in this year. And that is going to be the difference for both people who ultimately need it, so that the fund is at a level where if you are on unemployment and you need it, you'll have money there. And then for the employer side of it, they won't be paying higher taxes. So that there's a trigger mechanism in our current laws that says if it drops below $750 million, taxes go up. And so that's one of the things that we knew employers just couldn't bear at this point. And so that is a big win for really everybody, for all employers, for all workers, really. So we were excited to see that happen. The budget went to, I say it's kind of done, the budget went to the governor last week, earlier than ever before in like the history of mankind. I've been at the Capitol for almost 25 years. I worked for Governor Foster and one of your own from this area who I adored. But you know, we never do this early. We never get the budget there, and having the extra money and having the working together relationship that the House and Senate have has really put them in that position. And so being able to do that really helps, I think, at the end of the day, once they kind of come back, get the budget back, and you have a situation where, you know, you have so much support for this. And the other part of it is some reforms that'll be put in place with the Workforce Commission, asking them to communicate better with other departments, because we had a ton of fraud during that time. And every state did. It's, you know, I think it would be unfair to characterize Louisiana as worse or better, really, but every state had a lot of fraud in the unemployment funds whenever COVID happened. But coming out of that, we have to be sure that we don't get back in a bad situation there. And one of the reforms is, you know, a bill that's moving through the process by Representative Zarang and one by Bo Boye. But that's going to end up having the Workforce Commission communicate better with, you know, Department of Health on vital records and that sort of thing. So we aren't sending money to people who have passed. You know, that's not a good thing. So there's a lot of things that really impact a bigger global picture. One of the things, you know, y'all are down here on the coast, so I know y'all love the outdoors and you love your community and love your no litter, right? No one likes litter. I mean, does anybody like litter? No, no. So but the hard part about the legislature when they do things sometimes is they come in and they try to legislate morality and, you know, and things that you can't really control. And so one of the bills that we worked against, but we were happy to trade off and promote the good side of it, was a ban on plastic bag use. So this legislation would have banned the use of plastic bags, so dry cleaners wouldn't have been able to use a plastic bag, or retailers wouldn't have been able to use a single-use plastic bag. It was broad stretching, and even, you know, look, at the end of the day, I think we all agree that no one wants to see that litter in their communities, but that's not the way to go about it. And so we had to kill that bill. We worked with the retailers and the convenience stores and folks, and really what we pushed instead was, let's talk about a program it's called Love the Boot, and it really encourages you to get in your local community and get with people and create, you know, you talk about more involvement in the community, you know, I mean, that's what small business owners do. And so, you know, how are you going to be connecting? We'll put together a cleanup crew and go clean up in the area, you know, that kind of thing. And this website is called Love the Boot. If you visit it, it's a great opportunity to say, let's put a group together to go do some community service and do something positive. And hopefully, maybe, if you talk about it enough, people will change their behavior, right? And start educating kids younger and earlier about what the effects of litter have on, you know, on the community, instead of having to legislate it, have fines and fees, tie the hands of small business owners and that kind of thing. And that's why, you know, we oppose legislation like that, because it really does have a more harmful effect than it does a positive one, because banning the plastic bag use is not going to change people from throwing stuff out of their car window, right? Unfortunately. So it's things like that that we work on. We have a federal component to what we do as well. The state stuff, I could probably go on for a while, but that would probably bore y'all, one, and two, I don't want to steal the thunder of next month's group, because they'll have a lot to share with you. But I will say, you know, one of the other things that we work on that I think is important, you know, from a policy perspective, is the workforce development. Just to tag on to the unemployment conversation, you know, really training, getting better trained workforce. One of the biggest things we hear from small business owners in our surveys is that qualified workforce is one of the biggest challenges, and especially in the manufacturing and construction industries. So what we are hoping to do is, we don't get involved in education policy per se, especially K through 12. That's a very complicated debate from time to time, as the school board probably knows. But we do get involved when it comes to how can we be more proactive in training the workforce and getting folks ready for the workforce. It's an important issue, and you know, there's a lot of skills that are missing when folks come into the workforce, and so that's important to us as well. At the federal level, just a few things. You know, one of the things that we do, we have a legal center that gets involved in local cases across the different states, because again, small business owners don't have the wherewithal to hire big attorneys to go fight big cases at the different 5th Circuit, 4th Circuit, or anywhere else. And so one of the things we do is get involved in some of these cases and file amicus briefs that just get the small business side out into the equation and tell the story. And it's an important thing we do. A lot of times it's related to overregulation or things that could cause frivolous lawsuits against employers. And so we really keep a close eye on that. At the federal level, we are always fighting for tax cuts and easing tax complexity. One of the things that we have, our members tell us all the time, is that the complexity of the tax code, both at the state and the federal level, are really a hindrance to growing. I'll kind of go back to the centralized sales tax conversation. One of our small business owners, Abform in Lafayette, they have one person that does their collections, and it takes her 80 hours to do it. Like, that's a lot of time to pay somebody just to file taxes, right? And that's every month. So it's a lot. And so if anybody's familiar with filing the tax forms, it's a lot. And so that cost of both finances and of time are really hard for a small business owner to swallow and to be able to do. You know, a lot of you probably have your CPA or somebody, but you probably also have an in-house bookkeeper that handles all this stuff for you, or you do it yourself, and then you hope for the best on the back end. So one of the things that Senator Allen has been great about has been trying to consolidate audits, which, you know, and when you look at tax audits at the local level, if you get audited by one local government, A bill he's pushing this session would actually allow for three, if you have three or more wanting to audit you, you can do it all together. And that helps save time and for everybody, really. So it's things that we're moving towards, I think, at the state level that really help. And then things like the Trump era tax cuts really helped ignite the economy. And what we've had happen is this backward slope just from COVID, which no one could have predicted, and here we are. But hopefully on the coming out of it, we still protect a lot of those tax cuts. A lot of the position, there's a small business tax deduction that we've been fighting for to keep that has been proposed to be gotten rid of. And one of the things in getting rid of that would affect a small business owner's ability to deduct, various, business expenses and capital investment, equipment, that kind of thing. And that's an important tool for small business owners to offset tax liability. So the tax conversation is a big one for us. I know enough about tax policy to be dangerous, and more than I ever thought I'd know, because my math is not my strong suit. This is what I do. So it's kind of funny whenever you try to get in the weeds on tax policy. It's both boring and scary at the same time, I think. But anyway, we've got good people at the state level working on the issues. At the federal level, I want to say we've got a great delegation. Our regardless of how you feel about any of their personalities or anything else, they're all there working very hard for small business in DC. And I think that we're lucky to have our two senators and all of it, and even Congressman Carter, Troy Carter, does not vote with us ever, but he has the conversation. He'll sit and listen. And that's part of it. That's part of this, where I think you see so much happening in the world around us as it relates to division. It is nice that we have elected officials who represent us at that level, who are willing to have the conversation and not just, shut down or not even entertain it. So we really are very lucky. We have, we'll be up in DC for our in 2 weeks. So I'll be up in DC seeing some of our congressional members and senators, and just excited to go see them and be with them and kind of share the good word of what we're working on. I wanted to share, I know we're probably getting close on time, a couple things. Our website is NFIB.com. I encourage you to go there, even if you're not a member. You don't have to be a member, and this is not a sales pitch, but we have a lot of resources there. And really what happened, COVID kind of helped us understand our membership more and understand what our mission and vision was. And really, we are an advocacy organization. We're not an event organization. We're not anything else. We are all about advocacy and action. And there we were able to pull together so much information, especially after the PPP loans. We were very involved in the passage of those. And then all the things as far as compiling resources and SBA resources that are available. LED has a ton of resources that are available as well, Louisiana Economic Development, for small business owners. And we just encourage people to go and just get the information. And so that's why we had, with our webinars that we were having, we were maxing out on capacity early on in the pandemic. And now since that's kind of waned, but one of my things that, again, and I won't get into the details of it because I'll probably mess it up, but it's the Earned Income Tax Credit. If you're a small business owner and you don't know about it and you're not using it, I encourage you to take a look at it. Our website has a ton of information on it, and I'm sure there's other information out there, but it's a great tool, part of the package, of the recovery package that was passed. Again, things like that, small business owners just kind of are like, oh gosh, they glaze over because it's too many pieces of paper and too much information. But really what's there is some resources that really are helpful to small business owners.
That is all the time we have for today's show, The Voice of the Coast. Again, today's guest was Dawn Starns, who is the Louisiana Director for the National Federation for Independent Businesses, again, for the Louisiana chapter. If you'd like more information on the organization, check them out at their website, NFIB.com, or check them out on Facebook, National Federation for Independent Businesses. This is KWBJ's The Voice of the Coast. We'd love for you to check us out on Facebook, KWBJ TV 22, or go to our YouTube and subscribe to us. we are KWBJ Live. Of course, make sure to tune in to our station 6:30, 9 o'clock, and again the following morning for a rebroadcast of all of our Voice of the Coast shows. I want to thank Sonny Iverson for the editing as well as the shooting of the latest production, as well as the staff and crew here at KWBJ. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.